From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big night here on LALATE as more corporations miss on those earnings, but some beat in a big week that heated up with a lot of new inflationary data. And then on the unemployment front, a drop across the board. But the housing data was the biggest shocker across the board. More companies and more bad indications of recession. We'll go over the latest details tonight, and the great news is the raise of your benefits. A lot more money. How much? Lifetime stimulus. Plus 7 new categories of stimulus checks made law, passed by Congress. In addition to the 10 stimulus checks, in addition to the 3 stimulus checks we've been getting on this channel since the month of March, bringing the grand total to 10. And we're going to go over all this huge money. 10 categories of checks, about 100,000 in just the first 3. You qualify. Single individual, 75,000 or less. We'll go over the latest details across the board. This is federal stimulus. Become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And in tonight's recording, we go over the latest details of a soft landing, a hard landing. Is Wall Street going to get it wrong? And is the Federal Reserve going to get it right? What does it mean for you and your money? What does it mean for recession? What does it mean for the raise of your benefits? A lot of money at issue tonight across the board. But the big question mark, of course, is whether corporate earnings would soften with this economy. And we have new data tonight from the manufacturing industry. The big news, lifetime stimulus. The big news, 10 categories of checks. The big news, you qualify. And over this incredible broadcast, we're going to go over all these incredible sums of money. It's exciting. It's a great night. And you've been doing really well. I mean, another of you had another success story. And tonight could be your success story as well. Big money, big night, and big breaking news in a big week that's just getting started. We'll go over everything you need to know from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's America's most watched show in prime time for financial news tonight on evenings. Your economy, your recession, your unemployment, your inflation, your benefit raises. Everything you need to know heats up right now from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's Evenings LA, and the breaking news starts right here, right now, for August 20th, 2022. And good evening, everybody, as we surf into a beautiful weekend for August 2022. Big details, new stimulus checks. Now 10 categories of 4 stimulus checks in the books. We'll go over all those 10 categories and why viewers are getting so much money. We'll go over to that earnings recession and why that unemployment claims fell dramatically in this new last week. Plus, we'll be going over the big week that started this week and the one that will be continuing next week. Plus, everything you need to know of your raise of your benefits and what happened on that housing data. My goodness, it's a big broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California. All the breaking news for August 20th, 2022 starts right now on a beautiful night from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Good evening. How you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful night. And thank you for joining me again for a big broadcast. We got a lot going on tonight. We start, of course, with that housing data. It's a major story and impacts everyone, whether you rent or you own, or whether you wear lobster shorts or don't. We go over the breaking news starting right now. 3 days, 3 data points, and they were all weak. 3 days of data came in from the housing market, and all of them indicated the same thing, a recession. And it's not a surprise for us because we've been seeing this since the month of July. In the month of July, the new home sales miss, the existing homes miss, and the builder confidence miss. So going into this week, it was not surprised that the housing market is soft, but it was really surprised that the people who put out the data actually used the word recession. On Thursday, sales of existing previous homes fell 6% in the month of July compared to the month of June. This is according to the National Association of Realtors. Another downward month. Sales dropped 20% compared to a year ago in the month of July 2021. Lawrence Yun, chief economist at Realtors, reacted to the news. In terms of economic environment, we're surely in a housing recession because builders are not building. Whoa, that's about as blunt as you can be. Housing recession, builders are not building. However, homeowners are in a good position if they're already in the homes. It settled back the existing homes, and especially the mortgage rates. The mortgage rates spiked in the month of June, but they pulled back a little bit. They settled back into about a high 5% range. Very fascinating. We'll be watching that over the next few weeks. Chief economist of Realtors, Danielle Hale, reacted to the news. The median home prices continue to climb, but at a slower pace for the fifth consecutive month. But the buyer demand is moving elsewhere. There was a real shocker. It was a real shocker. The buyers just not there. Existing homes that went to the market, what happened? First, they're falling 13% in the high-end homes over 1 million. They're falling 8% in homes 750 to 1 million. They're falling 31% the low-end market, homes 100,000 to 250. So all the markets are falling left and right. That was one day's of data. The other days of data came in on August 17th. These are home builder cancellation rates. This is when you put a home in a contract. You're interested in buying a home, you put in a contract, and then you have buyer remorse. You say, I'm going to step away. I don't want this home, potentially because the mortgage rates are too high, or because of a long walk to the $12 ice cream and the San Francisco hairstylist. What happened on that data? John Burr's Real Estate Consulting said the how home builders cancellation rate doubles compared to the month of April. The numbers were not good. In the month of July, 17.6% builder contracts fell through compared to 8% in April this year. This is a very big number when you compare it to July 2021, 7.5% last year, 17.6% last month. California buyers can walk away because of the contracts, but when you look at the respective markets, Texas had the highest, 27% cancellation rate, and the Southwest was a 25% cancellation rate across the board. Housing recession, very manifested by the comments from the National Association of Home Builders. On August 15th, midweek last week, they released that monthly data. And the National Association of Home Builders Wells Fargo Housing Market Index came in for the 8th consecutive month down. Not good. Tighter monetary policy from the Federal Reserve and persistent elevated construction costs have brought on a housing recession, said the National Association of Home Builders chief economist Robert Dietz in that comment then. Sales conditions have dropped as sentiments have dropped down 7 points to 557. And long-term total volume of single-family residents will post a decline for 2021, the first decline since 2011, says Dietz. Wow. So the total volume of single-family homes will be down this year, the first time we've seen this down since 2011. However, there's signs that inflation is peaking, and that may ultimately help left and right. Major story on that housing data, but also a similar story when you look over to the corporate earnings. The corporate earnings came in this week, and there was a mixed bag, and there was a lot of retail sales that were reported this week. When you look at the retail sales, some companies beat, some companies miss, and the companies that miss really miss dramatically. What do we have this week on the earnings recession story on LALATE News? We had earnings coming in from Target, Walmart, Kohl's, BJ's, and similar companies, and guess what happened when you look at that data that came in this week? Mixed bag. Very, very mixed bag. BJ's, which is a discount retailer, much like a Sam's Club, Costco, or Smart & Final, major beat, major beat. Target, major problems. Target was featured on the channel back in the month of May, and they downward guided, meaning they said, we're going to have a bad year. Let's downward guide it for the next quarter when we report those earnings on August 17th. Then, 30 days later, in the month of July, they downward guided again. And also they downward guided in June. 3 months of downward guidance. And then when they reported the corporate earnings on August 17th, what happens? They miss. They miss after 3 downward guidances. If we hadn't dealt with our excessive inventory head on, we could have provided some short-term pain on the profit level. While our quarterly profits took a meaningful step down, our future path is brighter, says Chief Financial Officer Michael Finkel in the corporate earnings call on August 17th. Revenue was a miss, earnings was a miss, and they were not alone. We had a lot of data this week for the retailers, but no one had a problem as bad as Target. Target really missed left and right. Walmart reported the day before, and they came in relatively strong. They said a lot of people over $100,000 in annual income are now shopping at Target and shopping at Walmart because of the impact of inflation on their wallet. Well, retail sales came in that same day, and this is big news if you're on benefits, SSDI, Social Security and Rail benefits, because retail sales, a month number, is an indication of inflation. And inflation impacts your benefits. We'll go over the calculation in just a second. Total receipts, when you exclude auto, rose 0.4%. So it's basically a flat number. But when you look at the retail sales total number, it was flat for the month of July compared to the month of June. Total pullbacks was 2.7% on online sales, which went up slightly, and miscellaneous stores were up 1.5% across the board. When you look at what happened later in the week, there was really a mixed bag, and that mixed bag manifested itself when we had the manufacturing data and the other retail sales numbers. We had Kohl's on Friday report very bad numbers. The stock was down 7.2% in pre-market trading. BJ's Wholesale on the other side reported major beat, and that stock was up dramatically 5.4% in pre-market trading that day. It's a discount retailer, but on the high end, Estee Lauder missed. So discount beat, miss high-end beat, it's just not consistent. Estee Lauder sales fell, and the stock was down 1.3% in pre-market trade. Tapestry, which is high-end, beat. Coach and Kate Spade are the brands it owns. So Estee Lauder high-end, Tapestry high-end, and Estee Lauder miss, and Tapestry beat. And then we had Bath and Body Works major beat across the board. This is big news for your benefits. Why? Because your benefits are tied to inflation, and we're trying to gauge where that inflation is tonight for an August 20th, 2022 for the shores of Santa Monica, California. When those retail sales numbers came in this week and they was relatively flat, that was great news for your benefits. Why? Because if inflation stays flat for 2 more months, we're in a great situation across the board. First, let's go over why this is important for you if you're on benefits. Then we'll go over the calculation of inflation. And next, we'll go over how much your benefits are going up across the board. First, let's understand why this is big news for you. Your benefits are definitely going up. The question mark is how much. You, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, about $5,000. If 2 more months stay much the same. Direct deposit, yes. Now let's go over how this works and what's at issue. What's at issue is inflation. And if inflation stays where it is or tracks higher, then we're in a great circumstance. Let's go over where inflation has been. Inflation surged to a whopping 8.6% in the month of May, and then in the month of June surged even higher to 9.1%. My goodness. And that's great news for your benefits, because if inflation stays high, or goes down a little bit, then your benefits go up a lot. The prior month, we saw data continue to track higher. And the data was 3 data points: CPI, PPI, and retail sales. In the month of June, the CPI went higher, the PPI went higher, and the retail sales went higher. So we understood your benefits are going up a lot. But going into last week, we understood a major data point was coming in. August 10th's announcement of the Consumer Price Index number for the month of July. It's one of the most important numbers to gauge inflation. And basically, if that number stayed flat or higher, your benefits are going up a lot. Well, what happened? The number came in relatively flat for the headline number, but the component parts were up month to month. Great news for you. The CPI released August 10th, which gauges how much you pay in the products in the supermarket, like milk and eggs. The Consumer Price Index went higher for the component parts. The wages, higher. The rent, higher. The products, milk and egg, higher. So why was the Headline number slightly down, a half a percentage point, because it also composes gasoline, and that went down in the month of July. So, here's what's an equation. If inflation stays where it was in the month of July for 2 more months, the month of August we're experiencing right now, and the month of September, your benefits are going up a lot. How much? Get ready to say those 2 words. Lifetime stimulus. Yes, lifetime stimulus, because once your benefits go up, they never go down. If, for example, your benefits go up 12% this year, that's not 12% just this year, it's lifetime stimulus. Because every year it'll be 12%. Yes, every year at least. If next year inflation is 2%, you'll get a 2% raise on top of 12%. This is why this is hugely important and great news for you across the board. So now let's go back into the data and analyze why this inflation for the month of August is looking really good and why we don't actually have to wait for that consumer price index number for August release on September 10th. When you look at the component parts of inflation from that CPI, what do you see right tonight? Jump on the live chat and post the same thing with me as well. When you look at salaries, are they going down? Yes or no? When you look at rent, are they going down? Yes or no? When you look at milk and eggs, are they going down? Yes or no? I think the answer is yes for all 3 answers. And what about gasoline? Well, the oil traders say the gasoline generally falls in the fall because of refineries going offline, hurricanes and tornadoes, and increased demand. So if you believe gasoline is going to stay where it is and the component parts are going higher or staying the same, then you're in great situation left and right. If you're a member and you're reading that membership newsletter, you see what happened to gasoline in the last 3 days. It was 93 at the start of the week. It ended the week at 98 international Brent crude. So it is tracking up higher. Focus on that more importantly than the price of the pump, because that determines gasoline. So ultimately, if inflation stays right where it is right now, you're getting a massive lift across the board. Ultimately, the data we'll be watching on this channel is housing that gauges inflation, the personal consumption expenditure index coming in a few days from now, and then the next round, the CPI and PPI. By the way, PPI last week was flat as well. So how much is your benefits going up? The Seniors League that saw that number released last week for that CPI, 8.5%, said if that stays that way, look for a 10.1% raise. Wow, incredible. And again, that's lifetime. Am I agreeing with that? Are you agreeing with that? My analysis is I think that's conservative. I think it could be more. Why? Wages, rent, which is 30% of the CPI, and also consumer products like milk and eggs, all tracking up month to month. They haven't tracked down. There's no data that shows it down. They're up month to month according to the data, not the analysis of the data. And then gasoline analysis, I don't think the gasoline is going to stay this low. And that's also the analysis across the board. So it's all looking really good. Ultimately, the way you gauge this is your eyes and ears. If you're in the supermarket, look at the price of milk and egg over the next 60 days. Look at the price of gasoline at the pump over the next 60 days. And look at the salaries and rent over the next 60 days. If they're looking basically flat, you're in a grave situation. Now, let's go over the calculation and why it's huge. Your benefits are tied to something called COLA, cost of living adjustment. And that number is determined by another number, 3 months of the CPI-W. The one number released last August 10th, last week, the one for August released September 10th, and the one released October 10th. And ultimately, if that number stays flat, then your benefits are going up the biggest lifetime raise of a generation. Now let's go over how that works starting right now. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits. Number 2, 5,000, some of you more, some of you less. Same lift? Absolutely. You don't have to do anything. And yes, we see 3 months of data. It's all great news, and the great news is on top of not only that lifetime stimulus, my friends, but those 7 new categories of stimulus checks. 7 new categories of stimulus checks became a law by Act of Congress last weekend and immediately were featured in a primetime special report last Sunday. And since then, they'll be in the membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There are now 10 categories of stimulus checks. Let's go over these 7 new categories of stimulus checks that became act of law by Congress last weekend. They are given a lettering system on the channel, starting with the letter E, and ending with the letter K. Again, they're in the membership newsletter. To see these 7 new categories of checks, look down the membership newsletter, Class A, B, and C, and in the middle of the newsletter it says, well, almost the top of the newsletter, it says E to K. Let's go over them starting right now. Check E is a wonderful $7,500 check. Check F is a $4,000 wonderful check. Check G is a 30% tax credit. Check H is $2,000 check. Check I is $8,000. Check J is $8,000. And check K is a whopping $14,000 check. These are the 7 new categories of checks, and they're on top of the 3 categories of checks that have been on the channel since the month of March. Check A, B, and C. And viewers have been getting them since the month of March. They're huge. And what are they? Let's go over the first 3 categories of checks, A, B, and C, starting right now. They're huge, and you want to get them. These incredible checks, A, B, and C, became a law by act of executive action by the President of the United States in the month of March. You qualify. Single individuals, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it as well. They're incredible. About $100,000. They're federal stimulus. All these 10 categories of checks are federal stimulus. They're not state stimulus. And in the big second half, we're going to go over all these incredible checks. How do you get them? Step 1, go on to this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Step 2, stay in the second half. As we go over check A, B, and C, the first 3 categories of checks, slowly, one at a time, with you. One of the great benefits of becoming a member is the membership newsletter, and one of the other items in the membership newsletter, in it, is the LALATE worksheets. Where are those worksheets? In the 3rd or 4th line of the membership newsletter are those worksheets. It's a PDF, about 8 to 9 pages in length. You can print it out or download on your phone or computer and take notes. And tonight we know a lot of new details of what to put into that PDF. And we have a new success story from one viewer who got 14 months of checks. Page 1 of the PDFs. Inflation. What do we know tonight? We know tonight that the headline inflation, CPI, pulled down about a 0.5 percentage point in the month of July compared to the month of June. But when we look at the component parts, they're actually up month to month. They're up from June to July. And those component parts are likely still up this month as well. Ultimately, if gasoline pulls down, the headline number will go up as well. And ultimately, if all those component parts stay where they are, your benefits are going up a lot. Number 2, when we look at recession, what do we see tonight? We see a housing recession, very pronounced, very much the headline story in the housing market. But we also see an earnings recession that is not being equally felt. Some retailers feeling the earnings recession dramatically, like a Target, and then a Walmart not. On the high end, Estee Lauder, yes. Another company, Tapestry, that owns Coach and Kate Spade, not. So very mixed bag. Labor, wow, that was a shocker. The labor claims, the unemployment claims released last Thursday, fell to 250,000. When we're looking to go to 265, it fell from 260 to 255 to 250. But don't celebrate, because that is still the second highest number of 2022. And then the last item on the first page of the worksheets is the Federal Reserve. In the big second half, I'll go over what a soft landing is. It's very important for you to know, and why I'm projecting and predicting the Federal Reserve will have a 75 basis point for interest rate spike in September and every month to December. Well, I have it right. We'll go over that in the big second half of tonight's Evening to LA. Let's go to the next page of the worksheet, and boy, this is getting exciting. This is where you keep track of all the stimulus checks you have applied for. And tonight we go over those checks in more detail. 10 categories of checks is not 10 checks. Check A is 1 check. Check B is upwards of 80 to 100 checks. Check C is 80 to 100 checks, potentially. And check E to F is now 7 new checks. Count that up. That's not 20 checks. Look at this table. It was made for 20 checks to apply for. That's why you're likely to print out this page, this individual page, multiple times, because you want to keep track of all the checks you apply for. One viewer last Saturday got approved for 14 months of rent. Another viewer day before got approved also for 14 months of rent. Another viewer the day before that got approved for 12 months of utilities. Speller got check A and check C. Another viewer out of Florida 80 to 100 checks that week as well. She had used this page of the worksheet, but she had forgotten she had used it. She applied for a mortgage, and she got approved. The state of Florida said, ma'am, you've been approved for check B. Wow, great news. Her mortgage, even better. 1 month? No, 18 months. Wow. But she forgot she had also applied for all her utilities. 4 utilities plus her mortgage, that's 5 checks a month approximately. 18 times 5, wow, that's 80 to 100 checks. That is not a unique situation. It's happening all the time on this channel. That's why you want to become a member. What's happening for purposes of check C and what's happening for purposes of the duration of checks? 2 years ago on this channel, we started featuring these checks, and I was asking viewers to really pounce and try to get 2 to 3 months of rent, 2 to 3 months of utilities. Then viewers started getting 12 months of utilities. I was shocked. Now, it's a regular occurrence for viewers to get 14 to 18 months of rent or mortgage. So use that as your sort of benchmark, use that as sort of your inspiration, and shoot high. The next page of the worksheet is your raise of your benefits. The Seniors League with that 10.1%. What would you do with that? You would put it at the table and calculate that out as a possibility. But let's run other possibilities. Maybe it's 11%. Maybe it's 12%. Maybe it's 9%. You can use this page of the worksheet to run the possibilities of different outcomes of this raise of your benefits. Remember, your benefits are definitely going up and definitely the largest of a generation. The next page, gasoline prices. Really fascinating. So gasoline prices earlier this week were 93 international Brent crude, lowest as we've seen in February. But by the end of the week, they tracked up to 98. That was really quick. Could it be 100 next week? Well, here are what the oil trade is saying. The refineries are at full capacity. They're pumping out at full capacity. OPEC Plus is at full capacity. And the demand is softened for a lot of different reasons. What are they also saying? The fall months are when refineries go off a lot because of hurricanes and tornadoes. Also, demand decreases. Also, recession would stunt demand. So ultimately, don't think the gasoline is going to stay low indefinitely. And then finally, the last page of the worksheet is the student loan debt forgiveness. 2 nights ago on Twitter, LA tweeted the breaking news. Insiders are now reporting the president will not make a determination about the headline final issue of student loan debt forgiveness before his self-imposed August 31st deadline. Why? Not particularly clear why, but he's going to roll it over. The president has said he has an August 31st deadline to make a determination about student loan debt forgiveness, the final chapter. But insiders believe that he's going to roll this over to right before the midterm elections. The determination has been made, insiders report, and I've been reporting, $10,000 for individuals making $150,000 less to be forgiven. He just hasn't made that announcement. He has forgiven other debts. He's forgiven debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, people who went to work in the non-profit public sector after graduation, and individuals who were defrauded by the universities across the board. Those debts have been forgiven. The final chapter would be debts for everyone on top of that. If you qualify for some of those initial debts I just ran over, and want to know how to get them, go to the Department of Education and pull out their press releases from Miguel Cardona and go through them. In the big second half, guess what we're going to be going through? We're going to be going through those brand new checks and also the first 3 checks that viewers have been getting on this channel for a long time. Huge sums of money, about $100,000. Check A, Check B, and Check C. We're going to go over how to get them in the big second half, about $100,000. It's federal stimulus, and you qualify. Go into this video, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Also in the second half, we're going to go over a major subject that's brewing for a while, but will heat up even more in the fall. That subject is a soft landing. What is a soft landing? How does it impact you? What is the analysis? What's the data? And what is the Federal Reserve likely to do? We'll have all that details in the big second half. Plus, we're going to preview what to see for the new week and what to see tomorrow on a big weekend. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, we are just getting started. I'm excited you're here, and we got a lot coming up in the second half, with those big checks. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, become a member and get ready. See you back in 60 seconds as the breaking news and all the big money continues on a big broadcast of a big night for August 20th, 2022 from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's evenings. And I'll see you back in 60 seconds as we go over all these incredible sums of money you deserve, you need to get, starting with Check A, then to Check B and Check C. The latest details continue as Evenings LA goes into a big second half tonight from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Everything you need to know, everything you need to get, it's coming up in just a second. And we'll cover all the excitement and the confusion of a soft landing.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues in a second half for August 20, 2022 from the shores of Santa Monica, California. As we serve into the big second half, we go over those brand new 3 checks and the 7 checks on top of that. Big sums of money. We'll go over the latest details from the housing market and why it impacts your money. And also, we'll go over the confusion of a soft landing. So much to know and so little time. It's a big night, and the stimulus starts right now in the big second half of a beautiful Evenings LALATE for August 20th, 2022. Hope you have a beautiful night. It's cooled down substantially here in Southern California. The heat is gone. No more heat in Southern California for the rest of the year. Thank goodness. Tonight, we go over those first 3 checks and learn why the categories of checks have so many possible checks in them. Check A, Check B, and Check C. Back in the month of March, a viewer said, LA, find me some checks. And I did. By executive action of Joseph Biden, they were passed just minutes before viewers were asking for them. 3 focuses at the time, 3 focuses chief tonight as well. 1, big amounts of checks, about $100,000. You want to get them. I wanted big checks because there's going to be a 2-year recession. I projected a recession back in February of this year, the only broadcaster, and I care about you. You need big sums of money to survive a 2-year recession. Number 2, broad eligibility. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you rent, if you own, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, go get it. Ease of getting them. I wanted them in a concise, simple way. A newsletter, a simple way to go down. A, apply. B, apply. C, go apply. So simple, concise, delivered to you, to your membership newsletter, to your inbox. And with that, let's go over all those incredible checks starting right now. The first check is a Check A, a $6,500 to $12,000 check that members have been getting on this channel since the month of March. It's astronomically incredible. Again, this is federal stimulus. It's in every U.S. state. It's not paid by the states. It's paid by the federal government. $6,500 to $12,000. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you're rent, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, go get it as well. That incredible check is just so good. It's so great. And viewers have been getting it. How do you get it? Step 1, go under the video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Go down the membership newsletter. Go down on the video where it says join the channel. Join the channel, then Go into the membership newsletter where it says check A. Go to check A. Click the link, send the link, and get into the link, and then go into the nationwide website, choose your state, and pounce when you see weatherizing grant. You're not done there yet. You can go get check B, a $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. This is the check the viewer out of Florida got. She got 80 to 100 checks. Yes, in many cases, it's more than $80,000. How do you get this incredible check? You know the routine. Go under the video, subscribe. Then go under the video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. You're watching LALATE, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Welcome to the new members. Welcome to the new subscribers. You want to watch this channel and you want to get as much money as you can. Go down the membership newsletter till you find check B. Click the link. It sends you right into the nationwide website. Then choose your state and go get it. So simple. There you go. That is $80,000 for check B. $12,000 for check A. That's $100,000. We're not done there yet. You're going to go get check C. For rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. How do you get it? Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to LALATE. Then join the channel as a member. Then go into the membership newsletter. You see check C. It tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. Check C is a category of checks. Again, and if you have 40 utilities and rent, that's 5 checks. How many places in the membership newsletter? 12 places. How many months? Well, viewers are getting 14 months. You see there alone, it's a lot of checks. It ain't one check. And we've been getting check C, or you've been getting check C on this channel for a long time, over 2 years. Check C has paid out with other stimulus to viewers of this channel over $15 million. And viewers are getting more months of check C, as I said earlier in this recording, than initially. Viewers originally were getting 3 to 4 months. Now they're getting 14 to 18 months. And let's look at some of the success stories starting right now. From Nisi all the way up to Elizabeth. Go get check C. For utilities, from Angela to Mark and Nancy, go get check C. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. For SNAP, go get check C. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $250,000 over 10 years. For combinations, from Nisi to Nancy, go get a combination. Nisi went from $23,000 to $50,000. Mark went from $32,000 to $166,000. He went from this graphic to then this graphic, and then got check B, $166. Lorraine went from $105 to $155. What is the commonality between Lorraine, Nisi, and Margaret? And Johnny as well. First, they're in all the live chats. You don't want to miss a video. Number 2, they pounce. What is a purple hawk? It's an expression created by me that describes someone who pounces as soon as money becomes law. Those 7 new categories of stimulus were announced by Congress last weekend. And as soon as they were announced, I immediately featured them in a primetime special report within just 2 hours. You know how crowded that video was? It was filled with hawks, ready to pounce. Stimulus is not available indefinitely, and that's why you want to get it. You want to pounce and become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. You want to open that membership newsletter. You want to get as many months. And when you get money, you want to go back and get more money. That's what these viewers have been doing, and that's what you should do as well. Tonight, we learn a lot more about another subject matter that's heating up. And that other subject matter is a soft landing. A soft landing is among the many subject matters you want to watch on this channel. So make sure you go into this video, subscribe. You're watching the #3 most watched financial news channel in America, LALATE, expanding #2. With this one channel, adding 2 new, LA2 and LA3. The live show on this channel, adding 2 live shows on the other 2 channels. Plus, the website that started it all, LA.com, with breaking news stories about your money printed online around the clock. And everything else that you want to know on this channel. Number 2, you want to hit that bell at the front of this channel. Make sure you have a notification set to on, because you want to miss a notification like a major announcement when Congress passed those 7 new categories of stimulus last weekend. And finally, join this channel. Go right in this video and join this channel. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, and Calcino VIP. One of the major breaking news stories tonight, of course, is the question mark of that soft landing. What is a soft landing? It impacts the housing, the unemployment, the forced stimulus. The breaking news on that soft landing starts right now on the big second half of LA News. A soft landing describes the Federal Reserve stopping their interest rate spikes because they achieved what they want to achieve. What is the Federal Reserve trying to achieve? 2% inflation. Did they say that? Yes. Do they write that? Yes. How long have they been saying that? For 8 months. Do they say that every week? Absolutely. So a soft landing means soothing into a conclusion after they've achieved 2% inflation. Where's inflation tonight? 8.5%. A long way to go, absolutely. So what would involve a soft landing? It would basically mean that the Federal Reserve says, okay, we've achieved 2% inflation. We will stop interest rates spiking. That is the definition of a soft landing. What's a hard landing? The opposite, where the Federal Reserve is hitting really hard with inflationary spikes, and then bam, you fall into a massive recession, you fall off a financial cliff. What are Wall Street analysts saying going into the weekend? They're going into the weekend that the Federal Reserve may likely achieve a soft landing in the fall of 2022. Does that make sense? No, of course not. It doesn't make any sense. Fall of 2022? That means in less than 60 days from now, with an FOMC meeting by the Federal Reserve in September and an FOMC meeting in the month of October, in just 2 meetings, the Federal Reserve will get inflation from 8.6% to 2%. How? That's like saying you're getting lobster shorts to a couture fashion in 2 months. Not happening. The Federal Reserve is not going to get inflation from 8.6% or 8.5% to 2% in just 60 days. The Federal Reserve has been giving guidance on what they're doing in September. They said they're doing 75 basis points. In fact, I've been saying that as well. 75 basis points in September. They did 75 basis points in July. They did 75 basis points in June. And how much did they move inflation? About this much. It's sort of like the popularity of a Kentucky guy. Yeah, you know which Kentucky guy. It's not really moving that much. So, if inflation moved this much, if you have 75 basis point increase, why would you think that inflation would drop from 8.5% to 2% in fall of this year, and you'd have a soft landing? The Federal Reserve is engineering a soft landing, says those Wall Street analysts. Is there any nonsense? Is there any logic to this nonsense? No. Ultimately, what you need to understand is the Federal Reserve has an approach and has had that same approach for decades. They give you guidance on what they do before they do it. And that guidance are interviews. The Fed governors go in and have press conferences. And that guidance is consistent. The Fed governors say the same thing. What they say during those interviews is the same thing they say during the Federal Reserve FOMC meetings. The last meeting released its minutes on Friday. And what they say? 2% inflation. Consistent interest rate spikes until 2% inflation. Consistent same magnitude of interest rate spike, 75 basis point, until 2% inflation. It's very simple. They keep on saying it. The Federal Reserve does not like to shock the market, so that's why they keep on giving you guidance on what they're doing. So why are Wall Street analysts trying to put words in the Federal Reserve? Not particularly clear. Here's what you need to know tonight. 1, the Federal Reserve will do a 75 basis point in September. Number 2, if inflation is not 2% in 30 days thereafter, which is sort of obvious it's not going to be, the Federal Reserve is going to do another 75 basis point in October. And if the Federal Reserve does not get inflation to 2% by November, what do you think the Federal Reserve is going to do in November? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. How long will the Federal Reserve continue interest rate spike until they get inflation to 2%? Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. The Federal Reserve has actually said it will continue to have the same interest rate spike until they get inflation to 2%. And that may continue into 2023. They actually say they're going to continue to stay with this until they get inflation down, and inflation may still be hot in 2023. Wall Street apparently didn't hear that. So Wall Street saying the Federal Reserve will be done with all this in just a few weeks from now. No. Inflation 8.5%. Inflation is supposed to be 2%. A few weeks from now, yeah. Stop going to the San Francisco hairstylist. They're blowing out your hair too much. It's hurting your hearing. Here's what you need to know across the board. If the Federal Reserve continues a 75 basis point interest rate spike in September and October and November and December, A lot of things are going to be hurt. What's going to be hurt? First, people who have adjustable rate debt. Because that adjustable rate debt that currently has a rate tonight is not going to be that rate in November. Because you'll have 1, 2, 3, you can count them out, 75 basis point increases. It's going to be a lot higher. Number 2, the housing market's going to be a lot worse. Why? Because the mortgage rates will be a lot higher. Why? Because you'll have interest rate spike and interest rate spike. Number 3, anyone that runs a business based upon debt, like a small business owner who has merchandise and inventory based upon debt, may lose the business because the small business owner can't afford runaway interest rates for that debt, and they're not betting on that debt. Who is telling that small business owner that the interest rate you're paying on that debt tonight is going to be astronomically, potentially through the roof by December? I don't think anyone is, unless that small business owner is watching this channel. What has been embedded in the risk of the markets? Embedded in the risk of the markets is that the Federal Reserve is going to have 1 or 2 interest rate spikes in the fall, and that's it. Really? That's not 2% inflation. How are they going to achieve 2% inflation? Embedded in the markets is that the soft landing is going to be engineered by the end of this year. Why? How do we know we're going to have a soft landing? How do we know we're going to have 2% inflation by the end of the year? We don't know that. Do you know that? I don't know that. Ultimately, we can only go with the data, and the data does not indicate that. You can't give yourself data. Wall Street's trying to give itself data tonight. It's trying to give itself data that the Federal Reserve is stopping spikes by September. No. Trying to give itself data that 2% inflation will be achieved in the next 90 days. No. Trying to give itself data that there'll be a soft landing engineered by the Federal Reserve by fall or early winter this year. No. You can't create data. You can give yourself predictions and analysis, but you can't create data that hasn't happened left and right. Ultimately, how does this impact your wallet? It impacts your wallet in so many regards. Your business, your community, your church, your family will all be impacted if there's layoffs, if there's a downward spiral of this economy, if there's a very pronounced recession, if there's a financial cliff, if there is a risk not embedded to the market and then suddenly the market gets hit in a way in which it had not assessed that risk. All this impacts you left and right. And ultimately, what should you do for your family? You should curb your spending. You should focus on raising your money. You should focus on understanding that consumer spending may ease and income may pull back. Gas may not go lower, inflation may not go lower, and fast action may not happen. Ultimately, the way you deal with this is increasing your money across the board. Finally, for you to know tonight is the focus of a lifetime. The focus of a lifetime is right now. 2 years of recession is a very long time, and no one's saying 2 years of recession. No one was saying recession in February this year except me. Tonight, no one is talking about interest rate spikes for the rest of the year except me, and that worries me. Why? Because interest rate spikes are very severe. Interest rate spikes happen all the time, but not in a consistent, meaningful manner like this. And a lot of people don't have that risk assessed into the market. You saw in tonight's recording how certain parts of the same industries have been impacted differently by this economy. Estee Lauder, Tapestry, which is Coach and Kate Spade. One's doing really well, one's not doing really well. BJ's, discount markets versus Target. One doing really well, one not doing really well. And that is really what's going to happen across the industries. Some companies in the same industries are going to be hit really badly, and some are not going to be hit at all. And then certain industries are not going to do well left and right. Housing is just not doing well. Ultimately, you need to stay on point. Finally, a personal message tonight. You have been doing really well. You've been doing really well in so many regards. First, getting stimulus and learning to earn. First, in regards to stimulus, it's amazing your achievements. You used to get 2 to 3 months of rent and utilities no less than a year and a half ago. Now you're averaging 14 to 18 months. You've listened and seen what other people are doing and getting, and you said, I think I can get 14 months. If other people are getting 14 months, I can get 14 months. I'm not going to focus on 2 to 3 months. I'm going to focus on 18 months. And that's what you're really taking in. You see people in the live chat, you see the subjects of the recordings, and you realize, I got to pivot. I need to refocus. I need to get more months. Number two, you're focusing on getting every check that's available. So when I say get every utility, you're really getting every utility. You're not just getting water and calling it a day. You're not just getting water for 1 month. You're getting water and all the other utilities, plus the rent for 18 months, 80 checks. That's not one check of $600. Number two, you're really learning well. You're learning extremely well. You're jumping into the component parts of inflationary data so you understand that this is impacting your wallet. You're asking really tough economic questions in the live chat. What happened with salaries? What happened with milk and eggs? What happened with labor? What happened with rent? Because you understand that may be going in a different direction than the headline number. You're observing really well. You're observing whether there's less checkers at the checkout in the supermarket store or the Walmart or Target. You're observing the milk and eggs prices going higher, going lower. You're observing the gasoline prices as you drive by. Did it go higher? Yes, it could go lower. And you're focusing really hard on every dollar that you can get as a member of this channel. You've done so well. And the better you do, the better this community is. The more motivational you are to other people, the more motivational they are to you. If you have a success story, send it to me on private message at facebook.com/LATE News. You have it as well, post in the live chat. Every dollar makes a difference. The programming continues tonight on this channel with Evenings LATE every night at 5 o'clock, Street and Stimulus at 7, Countdown at 6, Extra at 8 o'clock, Sunset at 9 o'clock. The programming continues throughout the night from 9 o'clock to brand new morning at 4 a.m. Shows on the hour at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then back at 3 and 3:30 with shows as well. We start again up at 4 a.m. with Early Mornings LA, and then Mornings Countdown at 7, Mornings LA at 9, until we continue with a new day of programming across the board. I'm so proud of you. Keep it up. Keep on doing what you do so well. Get that membership newsletter. Go in there and go down. Go get A, go get B, go get C. And remember, it's not one check. It's a category of checks. Go get E to K as well. And finally, get that membership newsletter out. Take track of all the items you're getting through. Keep track of recession, inflation, Federal Reserve, and everything you need to know about student loan debt forgiveness and also your benefit raises. You're doing so well. Keep it up. I'm so proud of you left and right. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, become part of this community. If you're not, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And I'll give you a shout out in the live chat if you're watching this on LALATE. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful night. Go get all the sums of money you deserve and get all the information you deserve to learn. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Have a beautiful night. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.